Hello everyone, and welcome to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for everything that's nerdy and awesome. I'm your comic book correspondent, Multiverse Bryan, here with a sort of headline show of a Comic-Con wrap-up. Now, normally with this, we'd have everyone here to talk about their different areas, and unfortunately, Projections John's still MIA at the moment. We do wish him well and hope for a soon return from him, so he's not here to talk about a lot of the big movie news that came out of San Diego Comic-Con, which is always what it seems to be turning out to be. I've made it no secret these last several years that going to sort of San Diego Comic-Con is more than just comics now. It is just sort of everything, TV, movies, video games. So, but the more focus on that sort of entertainment has left comics cold. I will still talk about them because actually a lot of stuff happened before San Diego Comic-Con and not actually during it. There are some little tidbits that are sprinkled out. But in terms of, movie news, we had several new trailers pop up for Wonder Woman, a Justice League sort of sneak peek. I don't know if I actually want to call it a trailer because they're still technically filming a lot of the stuff, but it was like, hey, here's some stuff we've done so far, have at it, please like us. Marvel's still talking about, showed off some new logos of their upcoming movies like Thor. I think a second Doctor Strange trailer. They added some more people to the Black Panther movie and got Brie Larson to be Captain Marvel. Good for them. Good for them. TV shows are also a big deal out there. We're getting some returns here. I believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be getting Ghost Rider in the future. They were denying it at first, then after a while, like, yeah, he's coming to the show. It's going to be kind of interesting because that's, I think, really like their first big foray into a Marvel character that isn't sort of connected to S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra in some way, shape, or form, so they're actually kind of thinking a little bit outside the box. Will that help the show? I don't know. I actually kind of stopped paying attention to it. They also debuted a new Marvel's Legion show, the mutant show that's going to be taking place on Fox, so get ready for 2 seasons of that before it be canceled. Haha, Fox joke. And anyway, we also have some of the Netflix shows. We're finally getting an Iron Fist teaser after God knows how long. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed at it. All we sort of saw was him in a bed and he punches a wall and he looks all shaggy. And then, I don't know, maybe because the Netflix series is sort of their Marvel Knights, their more darker series. I was kind of hoping maybe Iron Fist wouldn't kind of follow in the same path as Luke Cage and Daredevil and Jessica Jones. But they're all sort of connecting into the Defenders trailer that will also be coming up. And I kind of felt a little bit weirded out because the whole idea of the Defenders was it's supposed to be the crossover of these 4 shows. But like as soon as Iron Fist came out, they're like, oh, here's also a Defenders trailer. I was like, well, Iron Fist hasn't debuted yet. Now, I feel like it's just sort of like, all right, we've promised this. Let's get it together. Let's get it rushed out and get it going. But maybe that's just me. Tell me what you guys think. I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong a lot. It's fun like that. But in any case, that's, a sort of quick and dirty wrap-up of movie and TV news. Yes, I did skip over the Wonder Woman trailer, but don't worry. I believe we're going to have a Wonder Woman anniversary show. In that show, I'll probably take a look at the trailer a little bit closer and try to figure things out with it. People seem to be enjoying it. I'll tell you this much for sure. A lot of color. I did not expect that. So let's move on to actual comic book news real quick. So there's a couple of interesting tidbits. One of the tidbits is news dropped. I think it got swept under the rug a bit from the Archie comic series. That Archie last Comic-Con announced that they're going to have an Archie meets the Ramones crossover. None of the weird crossovers that Archie has done in his time. This one's actually a little bit more down to earth because the Ramones actually are a band and the Archie's a band, so there's at least a connection there. But during that time, unfortunately, the last member of the Ramones had passed away, and I think that's caused some sort of stir because now, here we are a year later, the actual crossover will go to print. So a year after being announced, it's finally coming to print. Take that as what you will. I'm not sure I will be buying it, but hey, it's there now. You can't stop it. Hey, I couldn't stop the Archie versus Predator, but hey, there we go. Now, for DC's still riding the wave of Rebirth success. I mean, I'll call it success so far because I've been enjoying some more books from them. I think a lot of people have been enjoying some books from them. But there has been a big criticism that a lot of the titles they did announce for it still haven't debuted yet. mostly the Super Sons and Justice League of America books. Now, I was reading up, and again, this is sort of like in between the little areas, you have to kind of find the news, is that they've actually delayed them. At least those two titles. I don't know if they've delayed any other titles until next year. When next year, we don't know, just as 2017. The reason being is because they sort of announced the slate. They announced the slate, when I talked about Rebirth before, is that instead of doing all in one month like they usually do, they have separated out into months, sort of giving time for books to breathe. They felt like Super Sons and Justice League of America books, if we rushed them out too soon, it's too much, and everything's going to get lost in the shuffle, so they're sort of pacing it out. For Super Sons, which is supposed to follow Damian Wayne and now John Kent from the Superman books, and John Kent being the son of Lois and Clark, that's actually a good deal. John's just now sort of getting established in the universe. He wasn't there before, and now he suddenly is. To have him in a book with Damian, well, that would probably be rushing things, and things wouldn't work out. Now, by spreading it out even longer, you can establish John a little bit, and then have him meet Damian, and shenanigans ensue. I love that word, shenanigans. Justice League of America, I'm not sure why they're delaying it just yet. I know they have the Justice League book out going on right now by Bryan Hitch, I should say. I think what they probably want then is to give that book a chance to breathe, get its legs, and then introduce the second Justice League title to it. That is just a guess. I have absolutely no truth behind that. So they also mentioned during the one of the DC panels is that there's a question about the Wildstorm characters. Now, the Wildstorm characters have sort of disappeared since they were included in the New 52. They had a real big part in the New 52, and now they've sort of disappeared, except for Midnighter and Apollo, because they have a miniseries coming up here pretty soon. So Jim Lee did mention, though, that they are going to bring those characters back a bit, and they are still in the universe, but obviously they're probably going to take a different path in terms of introducing them. And we're not going to find that information until New York Comic Con, because New York Comic Con is where all the big comic book news comes from now. Since San Diego has been taken over by other entertainment, New York Comic Con has been a more comic book Comic Con. They're growing too, and every so often you get some other entertainment out there, but it's definitely more comic book faced. So there we go for some Archie, a little bit of DC. So what about Marvel? Because Marvel is in the big Civil War II going in right now. Civil War II is going to be moving into a Divided We Stand sort of event. They actually announced their second event for this while Civil War II is still going on, which I know I've criticized so many times in the past it's redundant. Let the event finish before you get to the next event. This is something that we've said for the last several years, is that event fatigue has been set in for a long time now, and people just don't feel as comfortable with it anymore. But it looks like some of the titles got announced, and then also some of the titles for this new Marvel Now 2016, or Marvel Now Shattered, because the Now is looking like it's broken, has been leaked, or some of it has been announced so far. One of the bigger announcements is when you looked at they released a big sort of picture of everything. There's all the different characters that they're going to use. Some characters seem to be either missing or changed around a bit. Some of the bigger ones, that Doctor Doom looks like he's going to be in an Iron Man suit now, in his own series of the infamous Iron Man. I don't know exactly where that's going to lead from, but that's very, very interesting. So speaking of Iron Man, we actually had news before this as well that there was going to be a new Iron Man. One of Riri Williams, who's actually been in the Iron Man book now, will be taking over the role, and which has caused controversy upon controversy. And if you can't tell, that's sarcasm. See, here's the thing. So I've mentioned before that in terms of comic book continuity and things like that, I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that people have to do homework to get into these characters because they've been around for so long. Others don't mind it so much because that's what Wikipedia is for, and that's what any sort of internet search engine is for as well, to learn about these characters. Here's the thing with homework that you probably realize from school and from now. Not everyone does it. So the idea that Tony being replaced by someone in the Iron Man suit is not a new thing. It is a very old trope they do every so often. That's where Rhodes came from before he became War Machine. He put on the Iron Man costume for a little bit. It just happens. It's something they do. It's something that they do all the time, and I guess people are sort of sick because it is retreading old ground. But it's kind of that funny 7-year rule thing, or 7 or 8 year rule, where people sort of forget about it, and so it's kind of new again. So they kind of do it again. Happens in comics a lot. And Marvel's been trying really hard to sort of build up legacy of their characters, because that's something that I feel like they've been lacking for a long period of time. You know, is that they tried they've tried it before. Both companies are guilty of it. They've tried to sort of take one of their main characters, have something happen where they're no longer the main character, someone else takes up the mantle. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. I know it seems to work better for side characters. You know, we've had 3 Blue Beetles. You know, we have how many Flashes have we had? You know, has that mantle has been passed down to everyone. So Marvel's had a harder time doing that. You know, they've tried to change Thor up a couple times, didn't quite work. They've tried to change up Hulk a couple times, it hasn't quite worked. They're trying it again. Mostly because Bruce Banner is no longer around. Spoilers. And they've tried it with several other characters, and they've had, you know, different reactions to it. The Miss Marvel's been their major success for a legacy character. They have actually did everything correct in that character, moving them up. So again, they're gonna just try again. I don't know if it's gonna work. I haven't read anything, you know. I think the idea that people are upset about it is kind of silly. And again, this is just someone who's been reading books for a long time. So I've noticed that there's a lot of people who have read this story or been reading the stories, and they're very new because maybe they come from the movies, and now it's not recognizing from the movie standpoint. And that's sort of a weird thing. I have a theory about why the Marvel comics and the movies have been slowly been separated out now. That's a theory for another table. I know Dr. Gonzo keeps talking about brand confusion whenever these announcements come out. He's really pushing that idea. I'm not 100% behind that, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be. But it's just one of those things. Now, that out of the way, so that main controversy out of the way, and again, I use that very loosely, is that a lot of the other books that are coming out is just the same old they've been doing, Marvel's been doing for a while now. Taking some characters and relaunching them with new number ones, or taking some books and relaunching them with new number ones. We're going to get 2 new Avengers books, actually 3 new Avengers books, 4 new Avengers books, all different kinds of Avenger books. I'm scrolling through the news right now, because you have Avengers, and they have Avengers 1.1, and then you have Occupy Avengers, and then you have US Avengers, so a lot of different Avengers books are coming out. The Ultimates are getting a new number 1 as well, but there's also a new title of Ultimates Squared, which is supposed to be Ultimates 2, so like a Season 2 kind of thing. The new Wasp is going to be coming out with her own book. They just reintroduced that, so another legacy character they're trying out. The bigger news is that there's some of the other books, like The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which was a miniseries in Secret War, is going to get its own ongoing. Now, it's not going to be in that. This is one of those things where it's not in the main universe kind of thing. It's going to be its own sort of book following his adventures out in whatever universe this happens to be in. Nothing, you know, really different about that. They've had those hundreds of times. That's how Earth 1, Earth 2, and all those kind of different Earths happened. We did notice, though, they are going back on some characters. Venom is coming back, looking more classic Venom than before. They're bringing out a second, you know, Doctor Strange book, since he has a new movie coming out. Wink, wink, and nudge, nudge. Coming out in November. A lot of different characters we haven't seen in a long time, like Slapstick, Foot Killer, Solo, are getting their own number 1s. If you don't know who those characters are, I don't blame you. The Great Lakes Avengers are coming back for another series. If you don't know who those are, I don't blame you either. They're good characters, especially Great Lakes Avengers. Actually, has been a fun book in the past before, so to see them come back is kind of neat. But then other books are still continuing. We still got a Spider-Man book. We still got Silk book. Squirrel Girl is still going to be here. I think she's actually getting another series actually after this. You know, and then you have the other books like Uncanny Avengers. They are all continuing. One of the bigger news is that there's going to be a new Champions book coming out, which is some of the younger heroes, some of the actual younger legacy heroes are going to be in this book, and that is a book they probably should have done a long time ago. I believe it has the new Hulk in it, the Vision's daughter. Yes, Vision has a daughter. Vision's book. By the way, is no one reading the Vision's book? It's a great book. Pick it up if you haven't picked it up yet. Pick it up in trades. The first trade should be out by now. But they're also bringing back the original Nova as well. So it's one of those things with comics is that where they're taking, like, this has happened with DC as well. Like I said, both companies are very guilty of this. Like, they've tried the legacy character. Well, the legacy character's not working as well as we thought it would. Maybe people aren't connecting with it. All right, well, here's the original character again. Oh, okay, so now you have the original character and the legacy character all side by side. They did with Barry Allen and Wally West, Hal Jordan Rebirth. Now they're going to do it here with Nova as well. It's interesting. There's a lot of series that we hope to see continue. There's some missing, like Amazing Spider-Man has been. The X-Men books. They do have their big Death of X crossover event, but we haven't heard a lot about what's going to be happening pre or post, other than the Inhumans versus X-Men, which is a series no one has really asked for. But it's an interesting series because the idea of the Inhumans trying to be the new X-Men, and because their X-Men has been sort of pushed to the wayside because they're owned by the movie rights are with Fox, and I think I've had that discussion for a long period of time now. It's funny. It is funny the way that comics works nowadays. But that's a lot of the news. That's sort of a roundup news of pre, during, and post Comic-Con for comics. A lot of quick my little thoughts in there as well. I hope you've enjoyed me rambling through all of this. This is a lot of unscripted thoughts in my head. Hopefully in the future, when we get some of the other shows going for the latest year, I can expand on these thoughts, especially my theory of why the comics and the movies are being so separated out and look so different than they were several years ago when they're trying to look almost exactly alike. But hopefully I get that discussion set up for another time. So, that's all the time I have. I've actually officially run out of it. So thank you all for listening to my wonderful ramblings here on Nerd to the Third Power, this highlight of the highlights. The highlights of the highlights? This highlight of my headlines for the San Diego Comic-Con. So before I go, please, if you like these stories or you want to hear more about it, or you have a thought of your own of what's going on, please put them down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, all that kind of good stuff, because we love you fans. Please, and you also, if you haven't joined us on the Facebook page, we do have a Facebook page. You go like there. That's where you can join other discussions or ask us questions that we can answer on the show. That's all the time I have for him this week. Hope to see everyone here again next time. So, as always, I'm Multiverse Bryan. Taka, play us out.